While on the campaign trail, Joe Biden promised that his administration would not raise taxes on any American making less than $400,000 per annum. Not only was this a complete and total lie, but he is in fact hitting the poorest Americans the hardest. Lying Biden is taxing you, your family, and your friends, everyone that you know. And although you may not be aware of the mechanism by which they are extracting the wealth, you are likely aware that it is going on. Over the last 7 years, say, you've saved money. You've diligently put off consumption in order to save for the future. You want to settle down, maybe propose to your girlfriend. You're thinking maybe it's time to have a couple of rugrats. Oh, sticker shock. That house you wanted, 20% higher in price. Take those savings, go to the grocery store. Suddenly you get a lot less cart for the same number of Benjis. Have some work that you need somebody to do with those savings? Guess what? It's going to cost you a little bit more because they need to pay their bills. Why? Because of inflation. Although the nominal number that you have in the bank account has remained the same, the buying power has in fact decreased. So how exactly does inflation work? Say that you, our marriage-minded friend from earlier, whomever you know, has saved diligently for that house. Suddenly, the Democrats, the Biden administration, because they care so deeply about the individual and want everybody to be better off, they airdrop $1 million into every single citizen of the United States bank account. This flood, this torrent of money that they poured into the system, you now have all that money chasing scarce commodities like the house that our friend wants to purchase. Thus, what is the value of that $60,000 when somebody else can instantly bid $1 million for it? What happens to the price of the house, and what happens to the time value of the money that he put in, the consumption that he forwent in order to save for that house? It nullifies it. It destroys it. Thus, this is nearly 100% theft on one's savings, on their effort to work, all taken in by the government, which can monetize the debt that they have by printing the money so that nominally they can state that they've paid it off and they haven't defaulted. And if you think that it doesn't happen, in Lebanon, very, very recently, the currency collapsed 90%. It's happened in Argentina a couple of times, where if you had $1 million in the bank, suddenly in Argentine pesos, suddenly that was worth $100,000. And there's nothing you could do about it. The government just came, printed, and stole your money so that they could, quote unquote, pay off the debt. But what they're doing is paying with the wealth saved with all that input of energy and time that went into accumulating that sum of money in their bank accounts. Do they still have $1 million pesos in their bank account? Sure, but it's now worth 10% of what it was. So to come back to my earlier point, why did I state that this is primarily a tax on the poorest citizens? First of all, wealthy people generally have assets, like the aforementioned house that shot up in value, or ownership in corporations, aka stocks, whose prices rise with the inflationary pressures. Why? Because this money is siphoned away by those closest to the spigot, like BlackRock, who can borrow this made-up money from the Federal Reserve at a fraction of a percent of interest, and then can go out and purchase the scarce assets with this made-up money that they have to pay back at a fraction of a percent, which is part of the reason that you're seeing the escalation in house prices. It's not really that the houses become more valuable, it's that the government, by printing this money, creates the pressure that raises their nominal value. If you own a house, you're not really winning. Your purchasing power remains relatively stagnant. You're just not losing money at the same rate that the poor people who are working a 9-to-5 job, who have very little savings and most of it's in cash, are being siphoned away from. Or your pensioner, your grandfather, he has a pension that he's getting. Yet that pension will remain the same, but the purchasing power that he was promised of that pension diminishes drastically. 2, even better than owning an asset is to own debt. If I've taken out a massive loan, like our federal government, which is part of the reason that they're monetizing the debt, they're printing away the money, they're printing away the debt. That's what they're attempting to do, while they're spending millions of dollars on gender studies classes in Pakistan, giving away money to people who don't want to work, wasting money on very large military budgets. Let's call out the graft wherever it exists. The federal government does not spend money efficiently. Nevertheless, by printing all this coinage, by printing all these dollar bills, they are devaluing the amount that they have to pay back. And guess what? That works for corporations that have taken out billions of dollars in loans. The nominal value that they pay back will remain the same and rise with the interest rate that they promised to pay. But when you have 20% inflation, which may happen, the real spending power of that money that they're paying back is less. Lastly, goods like oil that have a real value in the market, suddenly they rise. And thus, the price of gas rises to $4 a gallon. And who does this hardest? The rich guy, for whom $1 a gallon is no big deal. He's probably driving a Tesla, or the guys who's commuting 100 miles to work, making $40,000 a year. This is who's being hit by the Biden administration and the hidden taxation of inflation. So Joe Lion Biden, who promised no new taxes for the underdog, no new taxes for anybody making under $400K per year. Yet the fact is that he is hitting the poorest Americans the hardest. Given Afghanistan, given the way he's handled the border, would you really expect anything less? If you have a thought, drop it in the comment section below. Join me at rumble.com. My channel will not exist much longer in all likelihood at YouTube as they continue to censor. And anyways, subscribe, hit the all notification bell, thumb up the video. Have a fantastic day. Again, comment below.